Yeah, they hate when you.
ATP, what it do with your boy Clay? More rain. Back at you guys with another one, and another one, and another one. What a day, man. Doing a lot of catching up, guys. Salute to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, you already know what to do. I'm inviting you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon as well, so you are getting all the alerts when its content is dropping. So check it out, guys. Teofimo wants out. Are we shocked? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, right? So Teofimo Lopez, on the back end of getting into it with Devin Haney, communicating to Devin Haney how disappointed he is on this fight not being made. When Bob Arum puts out this offer for a huge fight, Teofimo's first pay-per-view fight, in order to get him that payday.
Payday. You want payday? I know.
That he's looking to get involved with. And Devin Haney goes a different direction. You guys don't know, go check out my other video. He's doing something with Black Prime. I'm hearing there's negotiations going on between him and Adrian Broner potentially. That's another video. This one right here, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez did not get an opportunity to put this fight together. And what happened? Bob Arum said, listen, that fight's not happening. Doesn't look like Devin's interested in making that fight happen. But we got to get Teo active, right? But Teo's been, if you guys pay close attention, Teo's been on a mission to get away from Top Rank. This is my personal opinion. Maybe facts. Teofimo has not been shy about communicating the way he felt about the relationship that Top Rank had with him in comparison to his peer fellow fighters that were underneath the roster of Top Rank, and felt like he deserved a lot more promotion, being that he beat the level of fighters as Vasily Lomachenko and became a unified champion. Now, I know people will push back and say that Teofimo Lopez was actually an undisputed champion, but the reality of the situation is Lomachenko did vacate that belt, which Devin Haney ended up picking up, was elevated to that belt. And when Teofimo fought Vasily Lomachenko, you know, I know we have some people who have different opinions on it, but ultimately was a unified champion for whatever it's worth, not an undisputed champion. And the way to undisputed would have been to fight Devin Haney like Kambosos did, right? But he went for George Kambosos, an easier fight, he would have thought, to go ahead and blow his name up, fight an Australian. You know, he thought this was going to be an easier opportunity. End up, listen, upset. Kambosos took his title away from him. Teofimo Lopez decided to move up to 140 pounds. And ultimately, we know what happened. Devin Haney and George Kambosos ended up fighting 2 times in Australia, where Devin Haney became an undisputed champion of the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But ever since then, if we want to be honest about this situation, ever since then, Teofimo Lopez has been on this mission to be acknowledged as one of the biggest draws in boxing, right? He wants to be put on pay-per-views. He wants to headline pay-per-views. He wants to be involved in the biggest fights. And it seems as if Bob Arum and Top Rank and the execs at Top Rank has never been on the same page with Teofimo Lopez when it comes to this conversation. So Teofimo retired even out of what's the word I'm looking for? Out of protest, right? He was protesting his position and protesting what he felt like Top Rank was doing to him, which was a disservice, and he decided to retire, said he was going to be out of the game. He didn't like the way boxing was treating him. He was going to be out the game, but, you know, fair play. He tried. It didn't work. He ended up coming back, fought a couple of fights, right? We saw him step his game up and show the whole world he was back when he fought against Josh Taylor, gave a performance of a lifetime. Once again, moving with that energy that he was another two-weight class at this point, undisputed champion, being that he counted that Vasily Lomachenko fight as an undisputed title that he held, and then by beating Josh Taylor, somebody who wasn't undisputed champion when he fought Teofimo, but listen, was stripped of his titles, never was beaten for his title, was an undefeated fighter. Teofimo went ahead and took the moral victory and said, I'm an undisputed champion, kept on riding with that wave. Why was he riding that wave? Ladies and gentlemen, he was riding that wave so that he can build his value, right? Now I'm a two-weight class undisputed champion. I'm a lineal champion. I'm a star. The people love me. I need to be on pay-per-views. I should be getting paid in a certain way. I should be treated a certain way. I'm an A-side fighter. But in the midst of doing all that, Teofimo never stayed as active, in my opinion, as he should have been. Taking on the fights that he should have taken on, push for the actual fights that could be made that he should have been pushing to make. He didn't do that. He didn't go to unify with Regis Prograis. He didn't go to unify with Diaz, right? He didn't go and make those unification title fights that were there for him to make, or even go beat up on Rolly Romero real quick and take that WBA title he had at the time period. He said he wanted bigger and better fights, but more importantly, he wanted more money. And Bob Arum was only able to give him so much. I mean, he campaigned throughout the boxing space looking for these opportunities. He had a lackluster performance at that time with Sandor Martin. A lot of people felt like Sandor beat him. He literally cried at the end of that fight because when he got that victory, I thought he just knew in his heart that he wasn't going to get it, but he did, right? He had a lackluster performance with him. Then he fought against Jermaine Ortiz, defended that title, an opportunity there for him to fight a Subriel Matias if he would have waited one more month. But look, Teo wanted to fight, I believe it was Super Bowl weekend or something of that nature. Don't quote me. I'm going off the head right now. It was a very important weekend for football, and it was an opportunity for Teofimo's brand to take some light if he was able to be in a very exciting, right, entertaining fight. So he got with Jermaine Ortiz. Jermaine Ortiz pretty much boxed his ears off, right? I don't know what rounds it was. Maybe like towards the middle, maybe the fifth, sixth round, Jermaine Ortiz got a real bad cut from a head collision that happened from Teofimo, who was trying to cut the ring off, but wasn't doing a good job, was basically chasing Jermaine Ortiz around the ring for the whole fight, ended up headbutting him, and Jermaine Ortiz became a lot more reserved, a lot more defensive, and ultimately was on his bicycle for the rest of that fight, and Teofimo was able to walk away with a victory in that fight, but not an exciting fight, being that Jermaine Ortiz was ultimately able to just slow the pace of the fight, making it a way more difficult fight just with his footwork. Once again, not helping his market value. Then the space was pretty much quiet. People were thinking the next fight was definitely going to be a bigger fight. I think a lot of people were pushing for the Subriel Matias fight at that time for a unification, but Teo didn't see it that way. It looked like he wanted to get inside of a fight that he could look better in. And who did he pick up? Steve Claggett. I believe he's from Canada. Was supposed to be an easy fight, a guy who's going to be right there in front of Teofimo in order to make the fight as exciting as possible and give Teofimo that performance, that entertaining performance that was going to make the world go crazy for him. The takeover as he came to the ring in a stylish way, and you know, I believe he came out with the circus thing. I'm not too sure what he came out with, but it was an exciting, you know, walk out to the ring. But ultimately, he got punched on a lot in that fight. Won the fight, right? But Steve Claggett was applying pressure the whole entire fight. Not an exciting fight for his brand to say that he's a must-see boxing. And ultimately, at that point, seems like, with hindsight, Top Rank may have still been trying to work him out with Subriel Matias. He wasn't taking that fight. Subriel Matias ended up getting into a fight with Liam Paro. We all know what happened in that fight. Liam Paro was able to take Subriel Matias's IBF title right there in Subriel Matias's hometown in Puerto Rico, became the IBF champion. Subriel Matias at this point lost his deal with Matchroom, ended up going to a smaller company, and had a fight recently, a few months ago, where he knocked his opponent out in the second round. Listen, the opponent he fought was probably better than Steve Claggett, and Steve Claggett took Teofimo for 12 rounds. But at this point, Teofimo, more so looking like there was some deflection happening, where he was trying to get out of the fights that Top Rank was actually trying to put him in, was campaigning to make these fights that just weren't even realistic from the outside looking in. Him fighting against Terrence Crawford, going up 140, going past 147, going to 154, and fighting the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, who currently was campaigning to fight Canelo Alvarez at 168. There's no looking back. Teofimo is definitely looking back for a fighter like Terrence Crawford. Now his fan base gathered together and they tried to put the pressure on Terrence Crawford, say, give him this fight. That's a fight that they want to see, but it didn't work. Cringeworthy antics that he was doing to build up a fight that had no value in it from Terrence Crawford's point of view, just built animosity there, had a lot of cringeworthy moments with Teofimo Lopez that ultimately did not sit well with a fan base he did not build yet. Not to mention, if we want to go back a little back in time, he also threw shots at Subriel Matias' nationality, saying there was no Puerto Ricans that he was scared of, that they were beating all Puerto Ricans. The one group of people in America, as far as the Puerto Rican base is concerned, that was embracing him as an unofficial official Puerto Rican he burnt bridges with, and ultimately was left out in the cold on his own after he went ahead and insulted the Puerto Rican culture, went ahead and insulted the African American culture, and ultimately put himself on an island where his cringe-worthy moments were not building fights or building bridges, was actually burning bridges and burning relationships. Teofimo still heavy on this campaign, try to set up a fight with Jerron Boots Ennis as well. But look, Jerron Boots Ennis has his own mission. He's trying to unify at 147 pounds, right? Let's be honest. Jerron Boots Ennis should be at 154. The only thing holding him there at 147 are opportunities to unify. Doesn't even really want to defend his IBF title. Let's be honest, at 147 with that rehydration clause, he wants to be up at 154. So if he's at 147 for a unification, not to be held to a rehydration clause to fight Teofimo Lopez, the takeover, right? This is not something that he was really interested in. Supposed negotiations with Brian Norman were there for him to fight Brian Norman for Brian Norman's WBO title, but for some reason, these negotiations fell to the side. Then he went ahead and he tried to put a fight together with Devin Haney. Rumor going around from Bill Haney saying that Turki Al-Sheikh had reached out to Teofimo Lopez to coordinate this fight between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez walked away from the opportunity. Said it wasn't not what he wanted to be involved with, or, you know, maybe the A-side privileges that he felt like he deserved he wasn't going to get. I don't know what the reasoning was behind it, but ultimately Bob Arum full circle comes around and sends an offer to Devin Haney. Devin Haney also on the same exact conversation as Teofimo Lopez says, listen, I'm no A-side to you. I've been on pay-per-view, multiple pay-per-views, headlining my own pay-per-views and made more money than you. I should be the A-side. And you plus you passed on an opportunity that Turki Al-Sheikh put out there for you. Now, recently, guys, we saw what Devin Haney did. He went to Black Prime and made a deal with Black Prime, and he's putting together his situation over there. That's another conversation. That's another video. Go catch that video. That video is out as well, as far as what Devin Haney's doing with Black Prime. Back on Teofimo Lopez, at this present moment right now, realizing that Devin Haney's longer on the table, realizing that his antics that he did not get him the fights that he wanted to get, is back in the arms of Bob Arum and I believe Todd LaBeouf or DeBoeuf. I'm sorry, I might be saying his name wrong, but ultimately he's in the hands of these gentlemen and back into fighting who they want him to fight. And how does Teofimo feel about it? Well, Teofimo comes out on Twitter and communicates this to the space, right? He says, what's my buyout again? At Top Rank Boxing, I'm leaving this post definitely too. Speaking my truth, my word is bond. Speaking my truth, my word is bond. Very interesting, because now Teofimo's decided to make his campaign on Twitter business that he probably should be speaking about behind closed doors and negotiating to give himself his best opportunity to get out without burning bridges. And he's decided to expose the company Top Rank and let everybody know how he feels about his relationship with them. And ultimately, to compound it, he says this. He says, I'm too expensive for Top Rank. But the truth is that Todd DeBuff, that was the name I was trying to remember, is the issue here. So it's not even Bob Arum who's the issue, it's this gentleman, Todd DeBuff, who is the issue here. He hasn't liked me or my father since I started the capital letters takeover in 2018, and probably even before him. Now he's a chairman of Top Rank, so people do the math. By law, I have freedom of speech. So he's saying, listen, man, I can communicate what I want to communicate. I don't know if they've had some sort of like certain amendments or things, that contingencies that are in his contract that would restrict him from saying what he's saying. Clearly it doesn't, or he doesn't believe it is, as well, as he is completely 100% pushing back at Top Rank right now. And he's on this campaign pushing back on Top Rank to say, listen, man, you guys aren't treating me right. He posted this up as well, just giving an idea that, listen, Top Rank ESPN contract deal ends on July 26th of this year, and for contractual reasons cannot overlap another network deal until then. Now, if so, it becomes a conflict of interest, which can bind their current contract. They need Teofimo and capital letters to get a more lucrative deal. So he's showing his value to say, not only am I valuable, but you guys might want to try to keep me here. You might want to do what's right to keep me here, overpay me if you have to, but it's time that I get treated the way I want to get treated. It doesn't make any sense, as much as I've done for this company. you guys should be treating me better. Now, you guys can have your own opinions. Go in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. But ultimately, I'll tell you my opinion. At the end of the day, Teofimo's wasting time. Why? Because the best thing Teofimo does is fight. This is what got him to the big show. It's not his negotiation skills. It's not his mouth and his marketing ability to say the right things. It's not those antics that he's been doing for all these years. It's what he does inside the ring that has put him in position to be where he is today. And he's doing less of that and doing more of the thing that he's not strong in. You're not a lawyer. Bob Arum is. You signed a contract with Top Rank. You have obligations with Top Rank that Bob Arum clearly and Todd DeBuff clearly have all intention on following through and make sure that you follow through with. Now, it's really crazy right now that Bob Arum and Top Rank and all the executives over there have decided to go ahead and line him up with Subriel Matias, because this fight was on the table for him last year when Subriel Matias was an actual IBF champion. So this fight seemingly, inevitably was going to happen. You would have thought that Teofimo would have took that opportunity, and at least it would have been a unification fight. He'd have been a unified champion. He would have fought against a Puerto Rican who he probably would have upped his whole entire value with the Puerto Rican space, and he would have upped his whole entire market value in boxing, and therefore would have been a more sought after fight or an opponent or a dance partner to have for these fighters like Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Javante Tank Davis. But instead, you've wasted a lot of time, been in fights that people haven't asked for, missed out on fights that people were loving to see. You were a WBO champion, lineal champion at 140 pounds. Devin Haney was in the same division, a champion before he fought Ryan Garcia. But even on the back end of losing against Ryan Garcia, put you at the top spot in the 140-pound division. Arguably, you were there anyway, right? But no competition now that Devin Haney's basically rebuilding his reputation and his career right now to a degree. Instead of taking an advantage of operating inside 140 pounds to unify and fight the best fights that you can make in your division, you campaigned outside your division. You campaigned to cross the street, to go fight Jerron Boots Ennis, who's under a Matchroom deal, not Top Rank, to campaign against Terrence Crawford, who's over there with Turkey, Al Sheik, and Riyadh Season, and not even looking to fight you, being that he's a champion at 154, looking to campaign and fight the face of boxing in Canelo Alvarez. You did all these things when we all knew that most of these things were just never going to happen. And you have to ask yourself a question now, looking hindsight at the way that unfolded, to say, did Teofimo do this on purpose? Was he purposely deflecting just to get out of making the fights that were in front of him, that Bob Arum, that Top Rank, that Todd DeBuff were trying to put together, actual fights that he could have been involved with that could have added to his legacy? Was he deflecting the whole entire time, trying to make fights with fighters that just realistically wasn't going to happen, and it's bit him in his rear end? Time will tell, right? It is what it is. Teofimo has made it clear he doesn't want to be with Top Rank. He's made it clear that he doesn't want to be paid the way he's been paid. He's gone on platforms like It Is What It Is with Cameron and Mace and said that he's never went home with $1 million. He's never sold a pay-per-view. He's headlined some TV shows that he's been on, and maybe sold pretty decently in the building. I don't think he sold out, from what I understand, but he's never actually done what he actually does best, which is fight and continue to fight. Instead, he's been running this deflection, this smoke and screen, smoke and mirror campaign of awkward, cringy antics, saying the craziest things, burning bridges with all kind of opportunities and promoters and fighters across the board. And now he's left to Bob Arum and Todd DeBuff and what they have to offer him. And listen, not for nothing, but Bob Arum has a reputation of the way he treats fighters that are on the way out the door. You know what that reputation is? He gives them Subriel Matias. He gives them those level of fighters, hard fighters, not a lot of reward. Right at the end of your career, let's just hope that when this fight all comes full circle, that Teofimo comes out on top and is able to walk away from this top-ranked situation still a champion, that he's able to walk away with some value, and maybe he might have some value inside of an Eddie Hearn Matchroom or with Turkey Al Sheik, possibly. He actually put out some posts here kind of referencing Teofimo kind of referencing Turkey Al Sheik, talking about #boxing, #freedom, and tagged in Turkey Al Sheik when it said peace be upon you. So clearly he understands the opportunities that are out there, right? He clearly understands the opportunities that are out there, but currently where he's at right now, he's got to finish his breakfast. and it looks like his breakfast is going to be Subriel Matias. What a breakfast that's going to be, a hearty breakfast. Well, good luck, Tio. We hope everything works out. We're going to keep an eye on the situation. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Has Teofimo finally played himself? Or is this all working in a bigger plan? All the best thing that can happen for him? A free fight with Subriel Matias as one of his last fights on his top-ranked deal. Let me know what you think. It's your boy, Rain. It's that ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out again to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, you know how I carry it. Hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you get an alert when all this content is dropping. You know how we do it. At this point, we out.